All right. Welcome to Dr. Felicia and the 411. Super excited to be talking to you today about something that's very, very important. 7 steps to moving beyond being brokety broke. Yes, I said it here on the 411, being brokety broke. I was sick and tired of being brokety broke, and I know that if you're in that situation, you are sick and tired of being brokety broke. So we're going to talk about it. There's a couple of steps that we're going to be looking at. 1, the first thing you need to do is to create a budget. Real simple. A budget would help give you parameters to know exactly what you have coming in, what you have going out. There's an adage that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so that budget will give constraints and help you to see physically what's going on. You can use budget software. There's tons of software out there. I'm not going to get into that. You use what you think is beneficial for you. You can do it the old school way. The important is to document what you have coming in and what you have going out, and to be able to look at what's going on within your budget on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, to really track things. Number 2 is that you must pay off debt. You have to pay off debt. Now, there's different schools of thinking when it comes to debt, because there are individuals, for example, Robert Kiyosaki, who Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Many of you have read the book. Some of you know about it. It's a powerful book. If you haven't read it, #1 book, you have to read it. And then Dan Locke, they talk about, they use debt to build wealth. Well, the debt that I'm talking about here on the 411 today, when we talk about moving beyond being brokety broke, is not that kind of debt. I'm talking about debt where, for example, you're buying shoes or a dress or a suit or taking a trip, and you're using your credit card to pay for it and not being able to pay it off before the statement comes due. That's the kind of debt I'm talking about, how we all amass that kind of debt. The other thing is things like student loans. You know, that's huge debt, and I'm a huge culprit of that. It is awful. My student loan debt was off the chart. I could buy a huge, fabulous, fierce house with and it's not what I initially took out when it came to the student loan debt. It's the accrual of interest that just kind of stymied me. And not only me, but there's millions of students in America, in Mother America, that have huge student loan debt. And many of them are going to the grave with this student loan debt. So we got to get the debt under control. We have to begin to pay that debt off. My recommendation, and the recommendation of a lot of financial planners, is that you start with the smaller things and then go to the larger. Here's the reason. It's because it begins to help you to realize that you can do it. So you take the little credit card debt. Let's just say you have a $5,000 credit card debt, and you get that paid off. You will feel good about that, and you will develop momentum versus if you try and tackle something big and then you realize, you know what, you just feel like you're drowning. For example, that student loan debt, because the accrual of interest or if you put it in forbearance, it just kind of just knocks you out the box. It's like you feel like forever and that you're just drowning in it. So start with the smaller ones, gain success by doing that, by paying those off, and you'll feel a lot better. The third thing you have to do is to commit to being debt free, that you're not going to spend money on those Manolo Blahniks, on those Christian Louboutins, if you cannot afford them. If you do not have the discretionary money in order to purchase them, you're going to say, you know what, I can't do it. And that's tough. It's tough, especially if you've been like me, where I just wing it in life. I just do whatever I want to do when I want to do it, take trips, go to Paris, go wherever I want to go, and then deal with things later. Well, now that you're getting financially and fiscally savvy, fiscally fit, you're going to not do that. That's where, even for me, I've had to shift the way that I think, shift the way that I live if I want to develop generational wealth and to have a sound financial backing. So debt free. So that means that all of that frivolity, those types of things are going by the wayside. Now, of course, there's things that you're going to have to pay, your rent, your mortgage, those sorts of things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the discretionary spending, the frivolity, things of that sort, that you're going to wait until you have the money, you save the money, and then you can do some of those things. Again, all of this is going to be based upon you. I'm just giving you some tips. How you do it and what you do, of course, is going to be up to you. But if you want a couple of tips, that's what we're doing here at the 411. The next step is you have to save 3 to 6 months of income. You have to do that, because if something jumps off, like right now, we're in the midst of a huge crisis. Folks are losing their jobs. We have unemployment rates that are off the chain, akin to or greater than even the Great Depression. We have over 30 million people that are unemployed or underemployed that are collecting unemployment, 44% of which haven't even been granted their unemployment checks. So things are getting a little tough here. And so the consciousness of having that little emergency fund of 3 to 6 months is for expenses is going to be really critical if something does happen. And you have liquid assets, cash flow that you can tap into immediately, so that you can take care of things that you need, especially if you have children. You don't ever want to be in a situation. My daughter's 35 years old, so essentially I'm by myself, which is why I can swing by the seat of my pants to some extent, even though I've shifted from that kind of lifestyle. But I could have done that with greater ease, because I'm only accountable to myself. However, if you have children, then you have to begin to position yourself with that emergency fund, because if not, then it's going to be a sticky and scary situation if you find yourself unemployed or underemployed and you have mouths to feed, and that's a whole different situation. The next thing that you have to do, number 5, I think, and you really should speak to a financial planner, and I'm not a financial planner by any means, is you should invest in a Roth IRA. 15% of your gross income should be aligned directly with that, or any other pre-tax retirement instrument. That becomes really critical. The other thing that you should do, and I didn't maximize this, so I'm giving you tips that I should have maximized more. I've been on my job for 22, almost 23 years, and there's things that I didn't take advantage of that I should have early on, but I just was ignorant. I didn't know. And then you try to double up, and you try to restore the years that the cankerworm kind of have been eaten away. That's an expression that they use when you're trying to make up something. And so for a lot of employers, they have matching programs where they will match investments. And if you're in that situation, check with your HR department, your human resources department. Find out if they have any of those offerings. You definitely want to tap into that now. Pre-retirement type investments and avenues that your employer can match investments with you. That's free money. Absolutely free money. You definitely want to take advantage of it. The next thing that you should do as you look at the next step, number 6, for moving beyond being brokety broke, is you have to build wealth. You have to strategically position yourself for generational impact, to be in a position where money is not an issue. There's an adage that says money is the root of all evil. Wrong. The love of money is the root of all evil. The Jewish proverb says that money answers all things. So, for example, there's so much that I want to do in this world before I go back to the grave. I need money to do it. I want to build orphanages. I want to do work in Haiti. I want to do work in South Africa. It takes money. And when you look at people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, one of the biggest things that they do, even not just so much Jeff Bezos, not so much him, but some of the other greats, they use a lot of their wealth as power to be a blessing and an asset to others, which segues me into the final step, number 7, and moving beyond being brokety broke. You have to be a giver. If you keep your hands tight, closed, nothing can get in. When you give, you open yourself up. Big difference. And so if you receive, then you should give. And for me, as I position myself to be wealthy, as I position myself for generational wealth and generational financial impact for my grandchildren and my grandchildren's grandchildren, I realize the principle of giving. As it's given unto me, then I also give. And these are the basic 7 steps of moving beyond being brokety broke. I hope that you will take these into consideration. For each one, I could probably easily speak 2 or 3 hours on each one. There's so much information that's out there. This is what I call a drive-by, just to do a little fireside chat with you. The bottom line is none of us enjoys or basks in being broke. It is not good I don't feel good being broke. Now, I'm sure you don't feel good when you can't take care of yourself. You can't meet your needs. As I said earlier, you have more month than money. None of us want to be in that kind of situation. Or if a family member was dying or your child was sick, would you have the assets in order to just bring it there and to be a blessing to them? That's what I'm talking about, positioning ourselves to do that. So keep in mind those 7 steps. There's going to be a couple of other shows that will break down some of them. For example, creating a budget. We're going to do a whole separate show on creating a budget. Make sure that you tune into it and make sure that you continue to watch Dr. Felicia in the 411, the premier YouTube channel on personal empowerment and professional development right here on YouTube. Thank you for joining us today.